Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump into the legs there. Because legs, just notorious. They really are. They can be a pain in the leg and the neck. All right. So first thing I want to do is I want to trace. I want to trace over this to get the feel of it, and I want to show you how some things that help me out with the legs, because we don't want to start hiding our legs or our knees or feet, especially feet. But we're going to keep this nice and simple. So as you can see, get out of this. You can see we have we can now turn this into some underwear here. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I don't know why this kept. All right. So we have our underwear here. We can just kind of trace over that, over the pelvic floor, and that's really the underwear area. See how we just draw over things and it makes everything fine. But what this means is that our legs are technically attached right around here. Now, without me drawing the bones and everything and getting into that, but this little angle right here is very helpful. So the shape that I like for the most part is this. And then we can just add another little triangle there, or you can do this, and of course you can just kind of cut in this way. Either way will work. So instead of us just doing this, and you can also start out with our little tube if that makes you feel more comfortable. If you want to start out with this, that makes you more comfortable, then of course you can just add that on. And so your upper thigh is thicker than the knee area, than your lower thigh. Right? And let's cut it off right here, because I like the concept of knee pads, because it helps you out. It helps you visualize a little bit more. Instead of you trying to draw the intricacies of the knee, we could put our shield knee pads. And over here, the leg is turned a little bit more 3/4. You can tell right here that it's a little bit more 3/4. And if your foot, so this is a little bit more front and this is a little bit more 3/4. This gets so confusing because people, especially me, I got this wrong all the time. And so your leg is 3/4. That means that your foot is 3/4. But that also means that your thigh is rotating out. And when your thigh is rotating out, then you can get it can be a slight 3/4. It's not going to be a huge 3/4, but it's also going to be front. But you can see that there's a little bit of 3/4 there. Just a little bit. So we still can get away with doing this. We'll make our knee pads square. So it'll be 3/4. We also can kind of tell by the way the shield is. This is more front. And then on the bottom, we could just make this again. Right? We could draw a ball there. You could also draw a ball here if that helps you. You could join these together and put a ball in there. But I would like for you to try it this way. We'll put a ball on the ankle right there. The feet are to the front, and so if I traced over this, I'm getting like this right. It's almost like it's a right angle trapezoid. So is this at its most basic form. And then I can just put another little triangle on the back of it and it'll work out. Now, the other thing that you will know is that the center line, the knee, your lower leg is not going to turn Your foot and your knee, so about the middle, like going right between your big toe, this is going to tell you where the foot is, meaning you're not going to have a leg that's doing like this, that's sitting in the front, and then your lower leg is doing this and your knee is over here. That means that your leg is broke. Right? So, and I don't mean to laugh because I've sprained that's nervous laughter. I've dislocated my knee several times. And so if it's front, that means that your foot is going to be front. If it's over to the side, then your leg is turned. So one of the better ways to show you, I'm going to stop and show you this. All right, so here we are in DAZ 3D. It's free for those of you that are not aware. I'm going to dial up thin so we can see a little bit, and then I'm going to dial up muscular. We'll dial up bodybuilder a bit so we can see it a bit more. I just want to get as much of the detail going as possible for this figure. So this is the Genesis figure. Now, if we notice, so these are knees. They're at the front, and you notice that the feet are at the front. So now I want to turn this, and I keep forgetting which way it's rotate on the y-axis. So this is rotating. Now DAZ is not a good example of this. So you can rotate a little bit in, but that's not really what you can do. You actually have to rotate your entire hip, and you can see that's broke. But your leg does this. So it's front. Now granted, this is a 3D model, so it's going to be rigged to a certain point, but you are turning from your thigh. So when your leg is turning, your whole leg is rotating. That's why, because it's a ball socket joint. And so it is rotating that way. This one is rotating out the other way. And so this is a 3/4. So now he's standing like this. Let's throw him in a pose so you can see a little bit better. Let's throw Genesis here. Let's go for some poses. Because I do want you to really get this so that we can... So the Genesis figure is for both male and female. I don't have any male poses, any strictly male poses, but that's fine. Let's go for a neutral pose here. Oh, wait, here we go. So let's look at this pose right here. Male sexy. Okay. So you can see that from the top view, his feet, well, let's go from the bottom view. You can see from the bottom view here, his feet are pointed kind of outward, right? But also, if you look, the knee is lining up with that space. Let's not call it the big toe, but the knee lines up with that first toe. And so right over here, the knee is lining up with the first toe. The knee is right there. It's facing out there, so is the foot. That means that so is the thigh. So I want you to think about rotating things like that. So if he's doing a pose, if we look at our knee, the knee and the foot is lining up. Over here, the knee and the foot is lining up. This is going to help you, especially when you're just drawing these basic poses of your character standing. Then it helps out a lot. So now we can see that the leg, this is obviously the side of the leg, and we're seeing the side of the foot, and we're seeing the side of the thigh. Right? And so there's a slight little bit, maybe 5 degrees, your foot can kind of rotate a tiny little bit, but your foot isn't made to do that. And you do have to, and what you're doing is, if you're sitting down and you're turning, if you put your foot on the ground and you're turning it, if you notice, your hip is starting to open up. And yeah, you can move a little bit, just a little bit, but it's not much. It's not a whole lot. And it more or less moves out. Well, it's not a big movement. And I know this is a longer video, and I appreciate you sticking in with me with this. So that's one of the things I wanted to go in depth and explain as we start to move in a little bit more. So, and you guys know the routine. We're just going to go ahead and throw these here. What we also can do to make sure that they're not in one place or not separate from each other, I can do this, draw the underwear in, draw here, and I know the feet are going to be down here, right? And then the other foot is a little bit more over this way. And I made my feet really blocky and look weird. So let me fix these. These look so strange. And what we can do is we can just draw a line straight down. Well, that's not that straight, but it's straight enough. Let's straighten this up again. And so in the middle here, you can mark this off because this is a lot easier. I can do this, so I still got that little triangle up here. If I go over a little bit, I'm not going to worry about it because again, I still got my triangle. So I guess it'd be more or less right here. And then down here, what I can do is I can enclose this in our knee pad. And then just go down there. This doesn't have to be perfect. And you notice I'm not trying to draw this super neat so that, because when you start to draw and you start to put in your characters, this will be good enough. This will be fine. Because there's a few more ways of doing this. As a matter of fact, if you are having trouble, then then we also can do this. Oh. Another way of doing this, and this does work. You can do this. Make a triangle. You can make two triangles like that. Because it's still giving you the same information. I would probably try to take the triangle this time and just kind of push it more over to that way. That also works because that helps out a lot, in my opinion. And I like putting this little rectangle here, and we'll put the shield right there. It could be a shield, it could be a triangle. So we're really just looking at this. All right, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to see you guys in the next video.